Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprava Nirvignam Kurame Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 3rd of March 2025. I want to offer my prostrations, Anantakoti Namaskara, Anantakoti Sashtang Dandavat Pranam to all the great sages, to all the incarnations of God, and to all of the devotees, bhaktas, mumukshu sadhakas throughout the world. With that bhavna, we are continuing to examine Advait Vedanta. Advait Vedanta's main concept, main tenet, is that the Jivatma and the Akshara Brahma are one. Just like the drop of water and the ocean are one in substance. The drop of water is nothing but the substance is the same as the water in the ocean. Water is the ocean. Similarly, the Upanishads talk about this quite a bit. All of the 108 Upanishads, in one form or another, talk about this oneness of the Tattva, that is the Brahma Tattva, the infinite, unending consciousness, and who we are, the apparent limited psychological consciousness. That is the great mystery that is discussed, that it seems as if we are an individual being. We are, no doubt. Nonetheless, in that individual being, there is the possibility of realizing that we are the infinite reality ourselves. That same reality, the one reality, is actually who we are, not just this limited being. And this is a basic idea. Now, to actually open that realization, all of Agnan has to disappear. Now, we don't know why Agnan came, where it came from. Nobody has ever given an answer to that. The Jivatma is also within Mahamaya from beginningless time. Even Shankaracharya ji has talked about that. We don't know. There's no answer to why that has happened. As the Advaitic masters will say, the question is a wrong question. If Sachin asks, well, why are you saying that there is, I am inside this Maya, and why this Maya exists, and why these three bodies are there? Why, why is there Agnan? Why is there ignorance? They say that asking that question, why is there Agnan? And along with that, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya, all these things that come along with it. Why is it all there? This thing, don't ask this question. This is a wrong question. The question is wrong. The question is coming out of your Agnan. This question will not come when you have reached enlightenment. When you realize you are Brahman, this question disappears. Very interesting answer. I mean, and that makes sense also in some sense, right? It does make sense. It's like saying, why is there darkness? Why is there darkness? Why is there at 2? You wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and say, "Kya andhara hai?" Why is there really something like darkness? Iska koi astitva hai? It is the lack of light. If it's pitch dark, we use this expression, pitch dark. There's no street light, there's no house light, there's no light. If it's pitch dark, which we hardly ever experience, that is really something. By the way, I have experienced that on 2 or 3 occasions inside the Luray Cavern. If you go to Luray Caverns in Virginia, they take you inside the cavern and then they actually turn off the lights to give you the experience what it is like to be in pitch darkness, which we'd never experienced that really. We always have some light. We're not used to that, and if you actually move your hand like this, keep your eyes open, you can see, not your hand, you cannot see anything, but you can see that there is an energy moving like this. It's really quite an experience. If you ever have a chance to go to Luray Caverns, that's probably one of the few places you can experience pitch darkness. Otherwise, it's very difficult, because even at nighttime, there's the stars, there's the moon, things like that. Pitch darkness ka anubhav nahi hota. So anyway, the point is, if you're asking why that is there, why is darkness there? It's not really there. There's nothing there really. There's no tattva there. You see this point? But as soon as you put on the tube light or flashlight or ek diya, you light a diya, that is the tattva. That is a substance. That is the flame, the candle flame, the diya flame. Divo no prakash. There's a beautiful bhajan that comes to my mind. Gujarati mein ek bhajan hai. Divado dharo re Prabhu, divado dharo. Antar timira mitao. Mera antar timira mitao. Like this, there's several bhajans of that type. Jota se jota jagao Sadhguru mere. That bhajan is there. Mera antar timira. Timira means just darkness. Remove that. Divado dharo re Prabhu, divado dharo. Tanana manana tapaharo. Tanana manana timira haro. That's the Gujarati bhajan. It's a beautiful bhajan. I think it's a Jain stavan actually. It's a Jain bhajan, It's from the Jaina tradition. It's called Jain stavan kehte. Stavan like some kind of a stuti basically. It's amazing. It's amazing. बहुत सुंदर. What's amazing? हमारी जो संस्कृति में क्या अद्भुत बात सब लिखी है, what the bhaktas have written, it's so fantastic. But see, this, what it shows here is that the ज्ञानी, जिसको ज्ञान हो गया है through wisdom, the ज्ञान is wisdom and self-inquiry, that recognizes the transient and illusory nature of desires and emotions. अनंत प्रकार की शक्ति हमारे में है, अनंत प्रकार की इच्छा हमारे में है. So many desires are there. And the emotions that go along with that, they just keep moving from one thing to another. Some of them are very strong. Some of them are weaker. And this is where Vivek and Vairagya come into the big picture. We've been talking about these ideas for a long time, but talking about them is fine. I mean, that's okay. Sachin is talking, but actual Viveka is realization. It's the discrimination between the real and the unreal. It's the discrimination. Discrimination doesn't mean racial discrimination. It means to separate. To separate what is the tattva from what is not there. Like when the light, when you light a flame, the darkness is not present where the flame exists. When we have, हम जो भगवान का जो दिया करते हैं ना, when we do the arti, we light a flame, right? We cannot do arti without the flame. Have you ever heard that anywhere? Arti, something you can just speak the arti, that's a different matter. But always there's a flame there. Why is that? That arti itself, the flame that we use in the arti, that is the whole Vedanta, is it right inside that flame? That whole concept is right there. It's very simple to understand. When the flame is there is no darkness in the flame. The existence of that prakash, that flaming prakash of the Agni Devata, that is Agni Devata, the existence of the Agni Devata, where that Devata exists, where the Agni exists, there is no darkness. There is no concept of darkness even. And this is called Jnana. जो ज्ञानी है, they have awakened the mind, the senses, the brain, the internal mechanism of the Antahkarana in such a way that the flaming realization is present all the time. What is this flaming realization? What is that? It is 100% Vairagya. Vairagya is where there is no more running after the sense pleasures. Senses are there. The senses have become stabilized. Shant ho gaye. Why is that? Why is there running after the objects of the senses? Because the Jivatma is stuck inside that ignorance, thinking I will find akhanda ananda from that. No, unbroken joy from the senses. You'll never find it. It doesn't matter. We can expand the experience of the senses, but we cannot open the doorway into akhanda ananda by that expansion. I can go to a restaurant that has a $10 something for grilled cheese sandwich for $10. I can go to another little higher class restaurant, a little bit higher level, the same thing with more embellishment and other, but the items and whatnot, maybe $25. Some other third restaurant might have $50. Some other really topmost, the minimum. So some restaurants are at such a level, the very rich people go there. They have, the menu is there, no prices are listed. I don't know if you know that or not. And they said, if you have to look at the price, you cannot afford to eat here. Think about this. It's a Maya ka khel. That's what it is. It's unbelievable, right? All these things, but it might cost $200 for some dish or something like that. He said, and the people going there, they are not concerned about looking at the prices. They have itna paisa hai, they don't not concerned, and they're treated very well, VIP treatment, etc. Now, the same food could be obtained in some other way for $10, $15, something like that. Embellished with wine and with dress and formal waiters and ये सब चलता है. Yeah, what is that? Expansion of the experience. But even if you go to that restaurant every single day, but the one without any prices and the high class and, on the 5-star, 7-star hotels and all, whatever, jo bhi hai, sab vaibhav, bhautik vaibhav. Does it open the door into Ananda? No. Sorry. Too bad. It does not. Unfortunately. That's the way it goes. It doesn't open it. Because it is a restriction. A prakriti ka restriction hai wo. All experiences within the realm of the three gunas of Maya have a boundary. And that is what Jnani realizes. Jnani is not about information. It's fine. We need the information. We need to go through the scriptures and all that. Jnani has this realization of that boundary. And not only that realization of the boundary is not just an intellectual understanding. That's there also. But it is an understanding, it is a realization that does not diminish as time goes on. Because, we can say, well, boy, I've eaten so much at my favorite restaurant. I've eaten this. This happens even with the sexuality. The refractory period in the sexual response cycle. This happens with food. It's called the wanting liking cycle. There's a lot of neurology behind this too. It happens with clothing. It happens with dances. It happens with parties. It happens with, I don't know, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Restaurants. It happens with all experiences in life. They eventually said, "Bahut ho gaya. Abhi nahi, we don't want any more." It happens with vacations. I've been on a vacation for a long time. Now I need a vacation from the vacation. Too much. People go on the cruise ship and then if they're on there too long, they say, let's get out of this cruise ship. Bahut ho gaya. Aisa sab hota hai. There's a limit, right? There's a certain short and sweet. Okay, that's understandable. The Jnani is one who recognizes the experiences of Prakriti, is not rejecting them, but is also recognizing how much to interact with them and is never losing the sight of that boundary and the limited nature and keeps naturally diving back into infinite consciousness. That's the difference. That's the difference. The difference is the one who has Brahma Jnana, जिसमें ब्रह्म विद्या आ गई है, जिसको ब्रह्म का अनुभव है, भगवान का अनुभव है, that they could be anywhere. There's no question of going anywhere. Yeah, they're staying in some place, maybe going some here and there. जहाँ भी जाओ, कहाँ भी जाओ, it makes no difference in terms of the realization. That is the power, that is the potency of Vedanta, of Advaita Vedanta. It awakens one. But to awaken, the first step, and this is our sadhana for today, to see the boundary of experiences. We don't do that. We know that they're there, but we kind of get to that boundary and say, okay, that's fine. Then we go to something else and something, just keep jumping, from one thing to another, right? Without realizing that these things are all limited. But our mind is addicted to that many times. We said we want just more of that. And that's where addictions come into the picture. I like it, so I really want more. Then I want something more. I want something else. I want this and this and this. But there's no question. We cannot deny the fact. It would be foolish to. We cannot deny that the Prakriti, through the senses and the mind, gives us a variety of different types of experiences. I came across recently, sometimes we ordered this DoorDash or some items in here and there. I came across some restaurant here. I didn't even know that was there. They have all mango products. I said, this is something interesting. I see some Chinese places there, and they have all mango. Sab pura vegetarian hai. It's all mango. I have never seen so many mango varieties. I said, "Ye kya hai? They put vanilla ice cream and this kind of ice cream, and this kind of shake, and this kind of milkshake, and this kind of. They have concoction. They have over 150 items, all mango item hai. It's only mango, And they have mixed other things in there. So I said, is it vegetarian place? ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ा try करेंगे. I ordered something yesterday. I said, this is very interesting, So you see that the experience is there. अनुभव तो है जीवन में. There's no question. But this is the point of the Gita. You can interact, with a certain viveka, interact with the objects. But you know where the trouble begins? When Sachin says, I like it, well, I like it, that's not a big deal. But then I have to have it. That's a problem. And not only that, the vasana for it, that's where the vasana, the ichcha that I want this again, and I want this again, and I want it. But hold on, let's back up. Why is that even an issue? Why is vasana an issue? Because it is a type of binding. Because if my mind is bound to that particular mango dish, that's a problem. Then I'm deflected from the Brahman. But if I say no, it's available. Some natural hunger is there. We can order it. Theek hai, offer it to the Lord. Om Brahma Arpanam, and just and have it. The ananda is not dependent on the object. This is the point. Ananda is called swadhin. And if I get dependent on the object, that is called paradhin. I mentioned this before. We talked about it before. That is the point. So the egoic mind, which arises, it comes about when our desires are obstructed. That's the other thing. Is that I want this thing, and then now the thing comes up on the screen. Product not available. I said, my God, I'm so frustrated by this. I really want, because the strength of the desire, I want that thing. I want that particular ice cream dish, or I want that particular mango dish, or a particular, gobi Manchurian or something, whatever it is, using these examples, right? Which we are always. It's amazing how much emphasis people place on these sense satisfactions. I've even heard people who live here in Delaware, thode Indian restaurant, but not like in New Jersey. New Jersey has the, really top-notch, proper. So they drive specifically for that one dish. I said, "Theek hai, abhi itni vritti, you're putting so much energy behind that. Why don't you take the Bhagavad Gita and put energy behind that one? See what happens. Bhagwan aapke paas aa jayenge. If you want to, trying to go for that particular Indian Chinese dish, that was made by a chef in that particular restaurant at this temperature, at that table, in this way, This is my favorite table at that restaurant at 6 p.m. And then the owner also knows you and says, aap aa gaye, saab ji, and all that kind of stuff. You see this? This sab khel chalta hai. Prakriti ka khel hai. This is the way it goes. This is the reality we live in. This is the life I've heard of people actually driving 2-3 hours to go to a particular restaurant to eat a particular dish at a particular time, made by a particular chef at a particular table with. ऐसा करो ना भगवान कृष्ण के दर्शन के लिए. Do the same thing. They take I want to have darshan of Lord Krishna, with the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse number 70, and उनके साथ बात करनी है. Try that sometime. Just like trying this with the dish. That's another sadhana. Oh my God, it's a lot of fun. You see, so this is how it goes. That these Shadripu, these things are very, very damaging. They really are. They are the cause of every human problem. This Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. These are 6 Shadripu, 6 inner enemies. And they are very, very damaging. Like Krodha, we know this thing about anger. Excessive attachments, possessions, the emotional reaction when desires are obstructed. That is Krodh. The discrimination of Viveka leading to loss of reason. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Bhagavad Gita 2.63 warns that Krodh leads to delusion, Moha. Krodh is very dangerous. जीवन में से जो क्रोध निकल जाएगा ना, बहुत शांति मिल जाती. Krodh, anger, is the one intense emotion that can cause the maximum damage in the in the minimum time. It's the only emotion that can cause maximum damage in minimum time. Think about that. Lots of examples are there, right? So these are inner enemies. Lobha, the excessive wanting, indriyo ka bhi lobh hai. That can happen. It's not just money. Money is one thing. I mean, that's possessions, money. Some people have hoarding disorder. They cannot throw anything away. They even cannot throw a wrapper away. Also, some useless thing that put in the recycle bin, get rid of, keep the house minimally, keep it all clean. Hoarding. Mera. Kya tera hai? Kuch nahi hai hamara. This is all lack of viveka. The things that do not serve us, get them out. Don't keep them at all. Or give them to somebody else who might need them. Kitna rakhenge? This is lobh. Lobh ki vritti bahut khatarnak vritti hai, terrible vritti hai. And one of the things that people are attached to most is their bank accounts. Ke mera bank account hai. You know how the thing about money, what we use is ours. What we don't use goes to somebody else. It's not ours. They're impossible. It's like going to a buffet. If you just imagine, you buy a $50 buffet, there's 1,000 items in the buffet. You're not going to eat a 1,000. You have access to 1,000 items. Whatever Sachin goes there, Sachin eats 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe different items and have maybe 1 or 2 plates full of that. I'm full, I go home. That much is mine. The other stuff is not mine. But I go in there with my ahankar and says, ye sab mera hai. Mera nahi hai. Main jitna khata hu, itna hi mera hai. Isn't that true with the money thing also? How much we use, that much is ours. Otherwise, it goes to children, grandchildren. It goes to somebody else. It's not for us. That's a big mistake. Some people they're quite wealthy and they have a lot of, and they say, mera. Don't worry, the child is waiting. He says, tera kuch nahi hai. Hey, murkh, mera hi hai sab kuch. Thank you for saving all that money for me. Think about that. कितनी मूर्खता है, कितना अज्ञान है जीवन में. We think मेरा है, and the body falls away like a dead leaf, or like a leaf that is dead. Think about that. अंतवंते इमे देहा नित्य सुक्ता शरीरिणा. क्या हमारा है? गुणातीतानंद स्वामी जी कहते राखना पड़ेगा, प्रकृति पुरुष से राखना पड़ेगा, राख. When we realize this, then we also realize that whatever finances we have, as from a money point of view, nirlobh ban jao. Even if you are very wealthy, use in the best way for the benefit of family, practically keep everything. But isme main point kya hai? It's a realization that mera kuch hai hi nahi. कुछ ये शरीर ही मेरा नहीं है, ये मन भी मेरा नहीं है, ये इंद्रिय भी मेरी नहीं है, ये शक्ति भी मेरी नहीं है, ये कुछ भी मेरा नहीं है. आत्मा का एक ही तत्व है, परमात्मा. कितनी बड़ी बात है. Who realizes this? Sachin is speaking, it's not just by talking about it. It is a matter of actual realization, sitting for dhyan. Bhagwan ke saath when we're doing upasana sadhana, we sit in the upasana sadhana with that purna vairagya. कि मेरा कोई नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, तुम ही मेरे हो. As if we're taking the last breath of life. I remember at Christiana Hospital when my father was in the last stage, next to him was another man, Caucasian man, bald man. I'll never forget that scene. Never forget that scene. I don't know who he was. I have no idea. And he was also terminally ill. Yeah. And he was in the bed. And the only thing he was saying is, oh God, oh God, oh God, nothing else. I'll never forget that. Lekin impossible. Yehi जीवन का अंतिम सत्य है. So, oh God, at that time he was taking God's name. Take it now when we're healthy. Don't waste a single time, because who has given Sachin guarantee or anybody else guarantee how many days, how many years we have left? We don't know anything. We live with so much ahankar ke mera. This is lobh. And don't misunderstand. It doesn't mean you're going to withdraw everything from your bank account or take everything and just donate. You'll be the next homeless person then. That's not the point. Keep everything where it needs to be in the right way. But the internal transformation from lobh to nirlobh, each one of these 6 gets transmuted. I'll just make this one more point, then we'll close. I'm trying to stick to time here. The subjects are ऐसे इतने सब, this can go on for days and hours and hours. I mean, there's no end to all that. काम का ट्रांसम्यूटेशन किस में होता है? काम वासना और अनंत प्रकार की कामना, इसमें से निष्काम भाव में ट्रांसम्यूट होता है. It's a transmutation. क्रोध gets transmuted into compassion, karuna. Lobh gets transmuted into nirlobh, meaning what? Meaning what? It gets transmitted into using time, money, energy, everything as seva for oneself and for others. That gets transmitted that way. Moha, we haven't talked about these yet. Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. I'll just mention it here. The moha gets transmitted into jnana. You know, that moha nikal jata hai. You see things as they are. The delusion goes away. Right vision comes. Mada means pride, arrogance, ahankar. Iska jo the inflated ego, superiority, it gets transferred. It gets transmuted into humility, vinaya. And Bhagwan ki jo sharanagati, I mentioned this yesterday. Vinaya and sharanagati, it gets transmuted. And the matsarya, which is jealousy, that's another big problem in life. Jealousy towards others. Somebody's here, somebody's there. Always comparing with other people, with small groups of people. Kitna, compare yourself with what the scriptures are saying and what the great sages are saying. Not with people in this world. We'll be lost in that. That is called matsarya. You know, that feeling of resentment towards others' success or happiness is called matsarya. And so, how does that transmute? It transmutes into santosha, satisfaction. Santosh means satisfaction and prema. These two beautiful qualities, santosh and prem, they combine together, they get rid of the matsarya completely. And in the bhakti traditions, emphasize the surrender of the matsarya to attain inner peace. That this is why when we go into the temples, the different mandir mein hum jate hain, people touch each other's feet, they do namaskar. You know, the humility towards devotees. That's why mandir mein jana bahut important baat hai. That nobody's going to go into a J.C. Penney or Macy's and bow down to the individual, say, you know, Jai Shri Krishna or you know, some Christian name they might take or something. ऐसा नहीं है, इसकी price क्या है, ये क्या है, ते क्या है. It's a transaction. अहंकार का सब खेल है. Nobody's going to go into the restaurant, you know, Indian restaurant and say, you know, sir, you know, Jai Shri Krishna, and like how you go into the temple. But you can do that. Internally, you can still have that bhav, that we should have that bhav. But see, that's why mandir mein jana important baat hai. So that way the humility, the quality of being humble is taught in all the religious places, churches, gurudwaras, temples, mandirs, jahan Bhagwan ki upasana hoti hai, mosques also, the bowing down, isme humility ki baat hai. It's a teaching of leaving the ego on the side. You see? I mean, husband needs to do that when he comes home to his wife. That'll be also fine. That'll take care of a lot of family issues. All right, let's stop for now. Hari Om. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurame Deva Sarvakarichu Sarvada Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Om Dibilingaya Nama Urdhvalingaya Nama Anandalingaya Nama Dvadesh Jyotirlingaya Namo Namaha Om Trambakam Yajame Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanan Mrityar Mukshya Mamritat Om Namah Shivaya Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Om Glom Hum Glim Jum Saha Jwalaya Jwalaya Jwala Jwala Prajwala Prajwala Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Jwalaham Samlam Ksham Phat Swaha Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Rim Swaha.